Kia ora and welcome back, everybody. Welcome, my stars. Today we are going to do our tarot reading for Aotearoa New Zealand forecast for February 2026. This is just for New Zealand based, but let's see what the cards say. Let's see if that is going to link in with our February forecast for the global picture that's already been loaded. So let's get going with this. Remember, this is not a prediction meant to shock or to dramatize. It's a system level tarot reading. It's looking at our emotional, economic, environmental and political currents moving through New Zealand now, moving forward into February, and how they are interacting, sort of like linked together and underneath the surface. If the cards are right with what I said on the global predictions, I think also February is going to be carrying a little bit more of a quieter energy than what people expect. Not so explosive, not so chaotic, but there are going to be some pressures. And pressures doesn't need to always be noisy or powerful. So as you all listen here, let's just take a deep breath and take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and just notice what your body recognizes. Because this reading is very much about what is being felt, even when it is not openly said. So let's have a look and see what the cards are going to be telling us here. I'll be doing our 11 card spread. I'll be breaking it down as per usual, 5, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll have a look and see what the underlying energy is. Remember, I do read in reverse and in upright. So let's have a look and see what the cards have got to say for us. Okay, these cards are ready. So do excuse me. Energies are interrupting me. My apologies. His bone fell in behind his bed, and he was telling me that he wanted his bone and he couldn't get to it. So, as I was saying, our 11 card read. So let's go. Let's quickly cut the cards. They are ready. I'm just shuffling again so you guys can see it is not stacked. So let's go. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. 2 of Cups in reverse. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. King of Cups. Look at all the reversals here. Page of Swords in reverse. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Jeez, look at all the reversals. Okay, well, let's unpack here. That's very, very strange. Let's have a look here. Okay. 2 of Cups. For New Zealand, I think it is speaking to a broken and a strained agreement. The agreement between the people and between government, and promises that were made. And I think people are now suddenly, after Christmas and after January, and seeing what's happened in January, people are actually realizing now, and people's eyes are starting to open and see that this relationship is broken. And it's telling me that the deal has changed. People feel, I think, that they are giving their time in labor and loyalty and patience. And this no longer is met with the same return. There's a subtle feeling that this is not really what we signed up for. And And I think this is what is showing up economically, socially, and emotionally. More so emotionally, I think, because cups are emotional cards here. And there is a quiet dissatisfaction, and it hasn't really boiled over into anger yet, but that dissatisfaction is getting a little bit louder. And I think with the campaigns that have just kicked off for the elections and stuff, this is where people are going to start really seeing broken promises, broken agreements. Let's have a look at the Nine of Pentacles here, also in reverse. For a long time, we felt at ease. We were independent. We were sort of in that situation there, in the upright situation of the Queen of Pentacles. But now we are feeling a loss of our independence. I want to say we are feeling poverty levels rising, and that there's a fragility there. People were once comfortable, not feeling that they had to watch everything, every cent, every notice that was sent out there. People could trust what they were being told. Households were tighter, and there was, and now things are a lot tighter, and there is less margin for error. And this reflects to the cost of living pressures and insurance stress and also housing unease. And that feeling of doing everything right, but it still feels unstable. And I think this is going to continue sort of through February. So let's just move on and see what the rest of the reading says. The Knight of Cups in reversed. This sort of like sits in the middle for me. And I don't know why. It almost wants to remind me a little bit of land issues, nature issues here. And it's telling me that the land, the earth, is sending us signals that are emotional and quite difficult to integrate. And we've just seen what has happened with the floods and the slips and the extreme weather. And I think now people are saying it needs to be acknowledged, and it needs to be absorbed, and the systems need to respond to this. There's sympathy, there's response, but there is still emotional avoidance around these signs that are actually asking for us to take notice. And I think that earth and the land feels things before policies here, ahead of language and words, and ahead of long-term planning, which there isn't really. So people are feeling quite emotional about it, and they are saying, what are we going to do about this? Because, and why I'm saying lands up, because there is a lot of water around these cups, and we've just been affected by water again. And people are now sort of like feeling, you know what? We've seen the warnings the last 2 years, but still we are lacking behind. And what are the powers to be going to do? They are emotionally detached from this. And funny enough, this card came up, I think, in the global prediction reading as well. If I'm just going to have a look and tell me if I'm correct. This Page of Swords here, also in reversed. It's mixed messaging. Because as I've learned from Shanta from Mystical Fortunes, she always calls this her internet card and whatever else. And in reverse, it is false narratives that are being pushed out. And it is not necessarily lies, it's alternate facts. And it seems to you that the messaging that's coming out is quite rushed explanations. And there seems to be shifting narratives, and there's also defensive language coming through. And this is what is creating confusion rather than clarity. And people don't feel fully informed, and they feel a little bit managed. And this is what erodes trust. And trust gets eroded over time, not in a rush, but slowly. Because in upright, this is a swift movement. And in reverse is almost like a slow movement. And you see, the sword is off there, and we can't always see the truth. And I think here in February, people are going to start realizing that, you know what, we are being spun, and things aren't sweet as. Ten of Pentacles in reverse. There's generational unease here. And systems that were promised that were going to be made stable, and that was meant to be stable, and that was meant to be worked on, and infrastructure and housing and long-term security, doesn't feel that way. And there's a concern not just for now, but what's being passed forward. How is the now and what's happening now going to affect future generations? And I think here in February, it highlights a sense that long-term certainty is weakening, even if day-to-day life continues. Because upright, this card tells us that, you know, everything is happy, hunky-dory. There is the generational, but here, generational is falling away. So I think that is what it's telling us. And I think February is going to push this a little bit more to the forefront. Now, let's have a look here. Judgment. Upright. Yay, an upright card. Five of Pentacles came up in my other reading as well. Queen of Cups, I think, also came up in the global reading, if I'm not mistaken. But let's have a look here at Judgment. This is a reckoning card. It's not punishment itself. It is about truths surfacing. It is about what is going to be coming up from environmental impacts, what reversals of emissions had to do, that's going to come to the foreground, and then also consequences that no longer can be framed away, no longer can be reframed and said, but, you know, drilling for oil is, for example, is going to make things better. Those things are going to come to the foreground, and people are not going to stand for it. And this aligns very strongly with the current awareness around the climate accountability. And there's a sense that what's been minimized or softened is becoming harder to ignore. Judgment says it's not about blaming anymore. It is about acknowledging. Stop blaming. And this is what is so currently happening. There's always this blame being shifted back to the previous. And there's no real accountability. And this card is almost telling me that there is a second chance for, just look at the color there. There's a second chance potentially for that color in elections. Not political. I'm just saying that I'm reading what the cards are telling me. Now we got the Five of Pentacles here. It is in reverse. And it shows us that recovery is trying to begin, but it's still very uneven. There's uncertainty in trades, in construction and the labor sector, but there's also signs of support and re-entering. Not everybody benefits at the same pace. Some regions will stabilize faster than others. And February to me feels almost like a transition month, not a resolving month and not a shifting month. And it's almost like people are coming out of the cold and things are going to be changing. Then we are looking at the Queen of Cups here in reversed. This is a leadership field for me. There's almost like an emotional distance. Some might say it's not cruelty, but it's their opinion. This is containment. Leadership almost seems to be focused on the optics, restrained control of emotion rather than a shared feeling. And the public, us the people, are feeling it. And this creates a little bit of a disengagement. And it's not going to be breaking into a rebellion, but people are disengaging from what they are being pushed. People don't feel met emotionally, even when they are being spoken to. It feels almost like they are just trying to get their vote. People need to start connecting on an emotional level with the people. Understand the poverty of the people. Understand the lack of generational concerns. Notice the breakup. You see the cups here. I've got 1, 2, 3 cups here. And these 3 pentacles. So all money is all related to emotion at the same time. Let's have a look. Next card. 7 of Swords upright. Death in reverse. Oh, okay. 7 of Swords upright. It's strategic behavior. It's almost like it wants to tell me again, information management, selective transparency and sneaking around and quiet maneuvering. And it doesn't necessarily scream betrayal, but it says there's more going on than what is being shared. And people feel it. And this contributes to a low-level erosion in trust. And there is very little trust at the moment. And it's going to be coming more and more in the forefront in February, I think. Death card in reverse. There's a necessary ending. There's resistance. It's telling me that the old systems and old approaches and old assumptions are trying to be prolonged, even though they don't fit. And it is going to die a death here. Because death in reverse to me is death. It's the coming to an end of. Upright, it means it is closing of an old and starting of a new. But here it is all old systems are completely and utterly dead. Don't even try and look at the old systems. Don't look at what worked in the past. We need to start afresh. We need to find new ways of doing things. And that's going to come to the forefront in February. And this reflects here in New Zealand as there's delays around infrastructure, adaptations, and suddenly now we're sitting with the emissions accountability that is now on the forefront again, that people are trying to go back to that, and how they are trying to use that to recalibrate the economy. It's not going to work. Change isn't being denied here. It's being postponed, but it's coming to a dead end. And this is what's going to be increasing pressure. February is going to show us that this is going to be increasing pressure. Next card. The Hermit. Old Hermit definitely showed up in the global reading as well. But I think Hermit in the global reading was in reverse, if I remember correctly. Go and have a look at that video and see if you can see any correlation between them. It's a guiding energy. It's a pause. It's a recalibration. And I think it's asking us here in New Zealand in February, collectively and individually, to look inwards rather than outwards. Less reaction to headlines, less emotional consumption, and more, discernment. This card says you already sense what is off. You don't need constant confirmation. This is about stepping back to regain clarity and grabbing onto grounded beliefs. Lean on what we know works. So, at the base of this reading, the underlying theme is exposure. There's going to be exposures in February. I would sort of think about emissions, environmental realities, and the economic strain that there is. The traditional structures and headlines can no longer fully gaslight or soften what is happening. People are seeing through the framing a lot more quickly than they actually realize. And this is not a panic awareness. It is just awareness. And now let's have a look here and see if there's anything else that is going to come out of this reading. Let's have a look here. Anything else? Any more readings? Queen of Swords. Okay, 3 cards came out. So let's have a look here. 3 cards came out. The Queen of Swords. Decisive action is going to be taken. There's a feminine energy that is stepping forward. So there is going to be something decisive happening. She is not cruel. She is fair. And she is to the point. She is grounded. We can see that things are coming to a point. Then we're still going to be feeling that we are going to have some sleepless nights. And I think maybe we're still going to be worried for about maybe 9 months moving forward. So watch out. In these next 9 months, there's going to be a lot of words. Swords are words. There's going to be a lot flying through the media, and it's going to be starting now in February. But there's going to be a lot of gaslighting. There's going to be a lot of illusions. But those illusions are just going to be temporarily. They're not going to last, because everybody is watching and seeing what is happening. And there are strong pillars there, and people are going to rely on these pillars. Those watchtowers on the top there, I don't know if you guys can see, but if you see there's a watchtower there, people are watching. They are elevated and they are watching. They're seeing what is happening. They are seeing past the illusions. And let's quickly have a look. Underline, star, hope. It's upright. There's hope for us, and hope is starting in February. This card is telling me that New Zealand is resilient, they're intelligent, and the community and culture is lying deep. And I don't know why the Hanged Man has suddenly come to my mind. But as I'm just saying here, the Hanged Man just suddenly came to mind here. Where is the Hanged Man? Because the Hanged Man just jumped into my head. And I think it's maybe because it was on the global reading. But the Hanged Man, if you look at it, is not... Where is he now? I can't find the Hanged Man. But the Hanged Man has come to mind. Because the Hanged Man is basically telling me that we need to look at things from a different perspective. And I think why that card has come to mind is because of the global reading that I did for February. We're not fully tied up. We are just hanging around and observing things. We are being illuminated and we are seeing things that are differently. We are looking past the illusion that there is. We've got our hands to free ourselves, and be strong again. Stand on our feet. These two colors are just speaking to me. This will help us stand on our feet, and we need to look at it differently, what that has been presenting us. And that, my friends, is all from me. Have a lovely day. Please like, share, follow, and let me know if any of this resonates with you, and let me know if you want at the end of February for us to go back and see what has come true and what hasn't come true. All from me. Goodbye. Have a lovely day.